This zoo is literally weird and rude. It seems like jail. Wow, right? That is a real, genuinely furious comment from a fan online. But here's the crazy part. They are talking about animal cruelty. Nope. They're furious because a small, local zoo suddenly told them to stop taking pictures of the humans working there. I mean, how does a basic rule about photography trigger this level of outrage? And how does it spark a massive global debate about privacy, animal welfare, and smartphone culture? Let's get into it. Welcome to today's explainer, the digital sanctuary, viral fame versus zoo rules. We usually think of a trip to the zoo as, a carefree day of taking photos and making memories. But recently, a highly specific, totally non-negotiable policy announcement from the Ichikawa City Zoo in Japan completely flipped that expectation on its head. We're going to look at exactly how the digital era collided with wildlife management and how this one zoo drew a massive line in the sand. 5.6 million. That's a staggering number, right? Well, that represents the explosive virality of a single standard administrative update posted by the zoo on X, formerly Twitter, back on June 29th. I mean, municipal botanical parks don't normally go viral like this. But this post wasn't about park hours or a cute new exhibit. It struck a massive nerve all around the world because it directly challenged our digital habits. It questioned what we are and absolutely are not allowed to point our cameras at. The actual rule that practically broke the internet is incredibly clear. Photographing marked zookeepers is strictly prohibited, and violations found on social networking sites will be reported. It's direct, it's undeniable. Basically, the zoo established a physical trigger, a red armband. If a zookeeper is wearing it, you simply cannot capture their image. Period. On top of that, the zoo explicitly stated they're actively monitoring social platforms. If you upload media featuring that armband, they will report your account. They created a very strict boundary for our digital age. And the timeline of this rollout brilliantly illustrates just how urgent this crisis was for the zoo. It was practically instantaneous. The policy was announced on June 29th at 8:19 a.m., and active enforcement began the very next day, June 30th. Then, boom, July 1st, the global backlash ensues. They gave the public less than 24 hours notice. There was no gentle, month-long awareness campaign here. This lightning-fast rollout really shows us a zoo administration that was in desperate need of immediate intervention to protect its staff. The catalyst, punch, and the viral boom. So how on earth did a quiet, local public service get pushed to such an extreme breaking point? Well, to understand the rule, we've got to meet the undeniable star of the show. Meet Punch. He's a hand-raised Japanese macaque, often seen clinging to an orangutan plushie, and he was absolutely thrust into internet stardom. In early 2026, videos of this incredibly adorable, yet super vulnerable baby macaque completely took over the internet. Because his mom couldn't care for him, he was hand-raised by human zookeepers. Millions of people globally just instantly fell in love with him. But while the internet saw a cute video, the zookeepers saw a massive, life-threatening problem. You see, in macaque society, your rank is inherited from your mother. Without one, Punch was at the absolute bottom of the hierarchy, facing severe bullying or maybe even death if he was just dropped straight into the 56-member troop. So how did the zookeepers actually save him? They orchestrated this brilliant, empathy-driven master plan. Step 1, they deliberately paused the troops' contraceptives. Step 2, this allowed new staff to witness and train on natural reproductive behaviors. And Step 3, which is really the genius part, they built a kindergarten class for Punch. By intentionally creating a baby boom, they flooded the bottom of the hierarchy with other infants. This diluted that intense social pressure and gave Punch actual peers, so he could learn vital social cues safely. The cost of viral fame. It was a spectacular success for animal welfare, honestly. But as they say, no good deed goes unpunished in the smartphone era. Let's look at the intense unintended consequences this viral success brought crashing down on the zoo staff. 90,000. That is the staggering number of visitors who flooded into this tiny municipal zoo in a single month. This viral fame brought intense public scrutiny along with it. Armchair critics online saw all those new babies and loudly accused the zoo of losing control of their population. This viral noise actually triggered a grueling, meticulous audit by JAZA, the Japanese Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So right in the middle of physically exhausting, high-stakes wildlife management, the keepers had to abruptly hit pause and submit mountains of paperwork just to prove their competence. And while they're trying to manage this crisis, they're also dealing with a wall of strangers shoving smartphones in their faces, basically treating them as background characters for digital content. This led to the necessity of what we can call a digital sanctuary, a psychological boundary protecting essential caregivers from relentless digital surveillance. While the keepers poured their souls into building a physical and social sanctuary for a vulnerable baby monkey, the zoo administration had to step up to build a psychological sanctuary for the zookeepers themselves. Fans divided, local harmony versus global heartbreak. Implementing this digital sanctuary completely fractured the zoo's audience. Let's dive into the core tension of this explainer and see how different fan bases are coping with the sudden loss of interactive daily updates. For international fans, the new rules felt deeply alienating. Just take this comment from a fan in Mexico, expressing genuine heartbreak. What bad news. Every morning I had the illusion of seeing Punch. For fans consuming this from afar, following Punch wasn't just casual viewing. It was a deep, daily parasocial connection. To them, restricting photography and stopping that daily flow of zookeeper interactions felt like Punch was being suddenly ripped away from them. And that heartbreak? Well, it quickly morphed into distrust. Dedicated online fans began wondering if the zoo was hiding something. One user wrote, "I really hope this is not a way to prevent the public from seeing if Punch is being bullied." These fans genuinely believed that their constant digital surveillance was actually what was keeping Punch safe. They felt that by speaking up online, they were holding the zoo accountable, which made them incredibly anxious and suspicious of this new strict boundary. However, we really have to impartially contrast that international outrage with the measured perspective of the local Japanese visitors. Their reaction was completely different. As one local resident noted, because tourists break the rules quite often, the local community understood firsthand that visitors were pushing boundaries, asking relentless questions, and disrupting the keepers' vital work. To them, the rules weren't a cover-up at all. They were a necessary, self-cleansing measure to ensure the staff could simply do their jobs without being constantly harassed. This creates a stark, fascinating divide regarding the daily visitor experience. Is this strict rule good or bad for the guests? Well, it kind of depends on what kind of guest you are. You have international online fans feeling alienated and suspicious versus local visitors praising self-cleansing manners and cooperation. If you're consuming the zoo purely as digital content, you feel cut off. But if you're a local visitor who actually shares the physical space, you likely praise the cooperation, understanding that true respect means giving professionals the space to work safely. The contrast between these groups perfectly summarizes this complex tension. On one hand, we see the global fans, who are devastated and suspicious, driven by a powerful parasocial attachment to a viral animal. On the other side, the local visitors are supportive and cooperative, driven by a desire for physical safety and community respect. It really highlights the profound clash between our modern desire for unlimited digital access and the fundamental privacy rights of the humans actually doing the heavy lifting in reality. The future of zoo engagement. So, where do we go from here? Does a strict safety rule like this destroy the zoo guest experience long-term or help it? Let's look at what these restrictions actually mean for the future of how we engage with zoos in our smartphone era. The zoo administration is actively, deliberately reshaping the guest experience. They are ending general live streams, strictly enforcing those privacy armbands, and consolidating information through official zoo updates. But more importantly, behind the scenes, they secured a budget to expand their back-of-house spaces, so better veterinary areas and quarantine spaces. They're filtering out the content farming to pivot entirely back to genuine animal welfare. The whole guest experience is shifting away from farming viral content and back to quietly observing and learning. And we absolutely cannot forget this vital piece of context. 440 yen. That is the admission fee, literally just a few dollars. It's incredibly low because this zoo's true mission is to be an accessible public service for children and families to learn about nature. It is not a commercial, profit-driven enterprise designed to cater to viral internet demands. The zoo refuses to raise prices for security because they simply don't want to price out local kids just to manage internet tourists. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway I want you to chew on today. The camera phone has turned everyone into a broadcaster, but it definitely hasn't given us unlimited access to everyone's privacy. When the very professionals dedicating their lives to nature need literal warning armbands just to protect themselves from the glare of our digital attention, we really have to ask ourselves, are we loving these animals at the expense of the humans who keep them alive? Keep that in mind the next time you're out and about with your phone in hand. Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer, and I'll see you next time.